my least favorite life. Bar one where you fly and I don't. A kiss holds a million deceits, and a lifetime goes up in smoke. This is my least favorite you, who floats far above earth and stone. The nights that I twist on the rack is the time that I feel most at home.
Hello and welcome to the autumn edition of Cry Me a Torch Song, the video version. I'm Piers Ford and we've just been listening to Betty Buckley singing My Least Favourite Life, a track from her latest album which, despite the fractured despair of that particular track, is actually called Hope. The set was recorded late last year at Joe's Pub in Manhattan, and it's a visceral, exhilarating response really to the state of the world, and anyone who follows Miss Buckley on Twitter will know that the state of the world is something that often has her veering between hope and despair, much like the rest of us, I'm sure. In other words, this is an album which recognises that its subject is hard won, and something that has to be picked carefully from the wreckage and coaxed back to strength, ready to face another blow. Buckley really is an extraordinary performer. Of course, she's steeped in Broadway. Her CV includes Cats and Sunset Boulevard, to name just two. And to that list can now be added Hello Dolly, as she sets out on the Broadway revival's tour of the United States. Well, that's bad news for us on this side of the Atlantic, because it means we'll have to wait for the sign of another London appearance from her. We do at least have this album, which epitomises the other side of her career as a cabaret performer and recording artist. It contains just two dalliances with the traditional American songbook, the Kern Gershwin standard Long Ago and Far Away, and for an encore, the Johnny Richards Carolyn Lee ballad Young at Heart. The rest is a testament to Buckley's left field song choices. There are naturally contributions from T-Bone Burnett, who so masterfully produced her classic album Ghostlight, and Jason Robert Brown, who wrote the tentative and gently probing title track, which we're going to hear in a minute. There's also a bluesy take on Mary Chapin Carpenter's I Feel Lucky, and a beautiful jazz-tinged exploration of Joni Mitchell's Shades of Scarlet Conquering. The most arresting moments for me are when she lets rip with a couple of Steely Dan classics, Any Major Dude Will Tell You and Don't Take Me Alive. Betty Buckley has a controlled snarl there that is more Grace Slick than Broadway belt. Hope reinforces her reputation as an astute interpreter of lyrics, and it's a reputation that's well served by the maturity of her voice.
I come to sing a song about hope. I'm not inspired much right now, but even so, I came out here to sing a song, so here I go. I guess I think that if I tinker long enough, one might appear. And look, it's here. One verse is done, the work's begun.
That was Hope from Betty Buckley's new album of the same name. Now I'm turning my ears from one of the finest interpreters of our time to another, because Barb Jungr has also released new work. Good news always. In partnership with John McDaniel, she's been exploring the canon of one Gordon Sumner, who is better known to most of us as Sting. As you might expect, this makes for a completely fresh reading of some modern pop classics. Jungr brings the same emotional intelligence to the telling of these stories that's the hallmark of her treatment of other great 20th century songwriters, most notably, of course, Bob Dylan. Stripped back with McDaniel's sensitive piano accompaniment and vocal contributions, these songs emerge into brilliant autumn sunshine, as if dressed in fresh flowing robes, serene and newly majestic. The heart-stopping sentiment of Field of Gold and the jazz inflections of Englishman in New York are among the highlights of a set which also includes atmospheric takes on Moon over Bourbon Street and Fragile. Sting's police days are well represented. Roxanne becomes a gently told tale of redemption, while Message in a Bottle and Every Breath You Take positively sing with fresh vigour. And here, from this bold reinvention of some of the most recognisable pop songs from the last 40 years, is Barb Jungr's dramatic version of the story at the heart of Don't Stand So Close to Me.
It's no use, he sees her, he starts to shake and cough, just like the old man in that book by Nabokov. Don't stand so close to me. Don't stand so close to me. Don't stand so close to me. Don't stand so close to me.
Well, from Barb Jungr reinventing a police classic to a new voice, new to me at any rate. One of the nice things about producing these reviews is that from time to time artists and their friends send me work, and it's always a reminder of the depth of singing and songwriting talent out there, and a lovely way for me to hear voices for the first time. The voice we're about to hear belongs to Sumner, a young British acoustic folk singer. She's recently released her second album, Beacon, and it's really grown on me as I've listened to it over the last few months. Her songs have a lyrical depth and richness which make for really compelling listening, and that's whether she's covering epic themes and landscapes or intimate, bittersweet emotion. In that respect, she reminds me very much of Ange Hardy, with whom she shares a capacity for crafting songs that manage to sound at once utterly contemporary, whilst being rooted in the centuries of folk singing tradition. She has an arresting, throaty voice which brings a touch of soul to these harmonies, in this case Flowers, a poignant track about unrequited love and a delicate blend of a timeless theme with modern references.
Was I reaching for you like a torch in the dark? Was I writing my name on your heart? Was I holding your hand the night you didn't come home? Was I marking the land with pillars of stone?
That was Flowers from Sumner, and definitely a voice with a long future ahead of it. Another album which found its way to me recently is Laughing with the Raindrops. The eponymous title is the name of a London-based jazz soul band with a polished sound that evokes languorous evenings and long summer nights. Their lead vocalist and songwriter is Parisian Virginie Lacour-Puiboub, and she pursued a youthful dream of forming a group in London, and eventually did so with fellow founders, the musically accomplished brothers Gabriel and Alex Keane. Between them and a rich collective of collaborators, they draw on a strong pool of musical and cultural influences, and the result is a sophisticated blend of Caribbean and African rhythms, funky soul and jazz ballads. Here's a taste of Freewheeling, a song about the conflict between the intensity of love and an overwhelming need for freedom that epitomizes the Laughing with the Raindrops sound.
I saw your photograph on the wall, my dearest love. I couldn't hold back my tears when I saw your smile. Couldn't remember why we fought or why we cried, why we said goodbye. Still holding back to keep my pride, still holding back to keep it high, still holding on to my disguise to keep the message hanging high. Can't you see, baby, what I see? I just can't lose these memories, 'cause I'm freewheeling.
Laughing with the Raindrops, freewheeling there. Finally, a little nostalgia, or rather a nostalgic song about nostalgia. Those Were the Days is part of my childhood soundtrack. Today I can see how Mary Hopkin's voice was an important influence on my lifelong love of female singers, just as Petula Clark singing Downtown, or Nana Muscuri's Never on Sunday, or Dusty's You Don't Have to Say You Love Me proved to be. So it's quite a shock to realise that it's 50 years since Mary's song reached #1, and to mark the occasion she's re-recorded a number that on paper must have seemed like an odd choice for a young woman of 18, with its world-weary lyrics and sense of taking stock of years gone by. Even back then, as she entered the glaring spotlight of light entertainment and pop success, there was a seriousness and reserve about her that suggested a much deeper hinterland, and the song worked magically for her. True enough, she found the spotlight not very much to her liking, and she eventually retreated from the public gaze while continuing, fortunately, to make new music very much on her own terms. Now, collaborating with her daughter Jessica Lee Morgan and her son Morgan Visconti, she's nudged our memories with a contemplative new reading of Those Were the Days, acoustic and stripped of the original's epic sound, which was so reminiscent of a Russian choir. She might now be singing it with the benefit of half a century's life experience, but it's astonishing how little her voice has changed. Nostalgia, it turns out, is exactly what it used to be, only a little bit more. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with another selection of new releases. But always remember, those were the days.
Once upon a time there was a tavern where we used to raise a glass or two. Remember how we laughed away the hours? Think of all the great things we would do. Those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. We'd live the life we'd choose. We'd fight and never lose, for we were young and sure to have our way.